First the speech, and now the challenge to see how much of it can happen. Governor Kim Reynolds stood before Iowa lawmakers for the fourth time for the Condition of the State address. She told them she wants a flat tax and also the unemployed to get back to work.
In some cases, it's because the government has taken away the need or desire to work. The safety net has become a hammock. Now, don't mistake me. This isn't the only cause, but it's a growing problem, and it's not just an economic one.
The governor ended those enhanced federal unemployment benefits last summer, but she told lawmakers she now wants to shorten the period the unemployed can get benefits, going from 6 months now to 4 months in the future. She also wants parents to have an easier time to find out what students are learning and reading at school. But it's her 4% flat tax that drew much of the headlines, and also this criticism from a possible Democratic opponent this November.
Yeah, well, I realize there are a bunch of Iowans that are like, oh, tax cuts, that sounds good. But they also want education invested into. They also want mental health care invested into. They also want our schools and our communities invested into. And so while it might sound good, again, it's short-sighted. We need a larger vision that everybody can tap into. And these Band-Aids have put us in this position already.
So we will ask the governor about whether her tax plan is fair, also her criticism about what she claims some districts are teaching, plus the decision she says that she would do differently if she could.
From your local election headquarters, this is The Insiders with Dave Price.
Let's begin this week with some numbers, and bear with it, it's going to be a lot of numbers here, but we need them to set up our conversation with the governor for the week. The governor wants to flatten Iowa's tax system. So right now, there are 4 tax brackets here when you're talking about personal income taxes. But by 2026, she wants just one of them. She wants a flat tax here of 4%. So $75,000 and above, that's the highest bracket here. They would see their taxes reduced by the biggest percent. 6.5% would go down to 4%. Now those down $30,000 a year or less, they would get the smallest decline as they work their way to floor. Now, in light of these numbers, I asked the governor whether this flat tax is fair.
It makes us competitive, and that's what we're looking at. First of all, we've overcollected on taxes, and so it's time that we give it back. And that's after historic tax cuts, historic investments in foundational priorities like K-12 education, housing, workforce, mental health, child care. So we're overcollecting, and then when we look at what the other states are doing, this is a way that we can be more competitive. So not only help Iowans keep more of their hard-earned money, but also be competitive so we can keep and bring new people to the state of Iowa.
Is this like a clean one? Do you know what I mean?
Yep,
like some states are doing still deductions in there? And
Nope. So it's a 4% flat tax. It phases in over 4 years. In 2023, we'll start with the 2018, so we'll go from 4.4, I think, down to 6.5, and then each year that top bracket starts to work down until in 2026 where we have a flat 4% tax. So, I think when we've got rid of federal deductibility and really brought more transparency to what our actual tax rate is, that helped us with that process.
As you know, Senate Republicans would like that 4 number to be smaller than 4. What are you going to do about that?
Well, we'll work with both chambers, of course. You know, this is we've been working all over the interim on this bill. We've done the runs. We got the December REC numbers in, and so we built our budget on that. This is something that's doable. It's practical. It makes us very competitive. We'll actually we had the 6th highest tax rate in the country when I took office, and this will get to the 5th lowest, and so that's a significant jump and really puts us in the game. And we've done the runs. We've been conservative in our projections, and we feel confident that we can sustain that. But I'm willing to take a look at any other numbers that they're able to put together, and if we can get that down a little bit, to get that down even more, that's fine. I don't think we can go to 0, but you know what? We'll do what we've always done. We'll continue to look at it and see if there's other ways that we can continue to eliminate the tax burden on Iowans.
You think you can't do 0 short term or ever?
Oh, no, short term, but
Okay.
we'll take a look at it. I didn't do anything with tax credits in my proposal. We left that alone. We're going to do a complete evaluation, try to put some metrics in place so we can get a real understanding of the outcomes and the return on investment through the tax credits, and then maybe take a look at that going forward, which we'll have to if we get to 0. But right now, I don't do anything. I don't increase the tax to get to where we're at, and I don't do anything with tax credits.
Well, we're dealing with a lot of math here, I realize, but in 2026, when this all gets phased in, so these runs would show, I think, 1.6 billion savings for that. Will there be enough money coming in? I guess basically bottom line, what's our budget look like in 2026, right? So will it be, does that mean it has to be smaller than what it is now?
No, we've built in, usually when we put our budget together, we built in a 4% growth. We took a look for revenue at the various years to get what the average was, and whether it's 10, 15, 5, it was always 4%, and that's why we've always based our budget on 4%. And then in addition to that, we based it on 2% spending growth each year. That's adjustable. We don't even touch the Taxpayer Trust Fund until potentially fiscal year 25. And at that point, we're projecting maybe the bump in Medicaid, because at some point the enhanced FMAP will have to go away, and then the states will be, have to take up the funding, a greater share of the cost. And so we factored that in as well. If they delay that, which we should have a better idea by the end of this month, that of course would kick that out and make it even more doable.
So will stuff have to get cut to make the money work here? Or do you think the 4 and 2?
Yep. No, it absolutely doesn't. And so that's my point. And we have history to demonstrate that. And that's why we were able to come back and do it again. Because even after all the things I just talked about, and that was a historic tax cut in 2018, transformational investments. We continue to invest more money every year in K-12 education, a significant money in workforce and mental health. We've reduced property taxes, and we still ended last fiscal year with a $1.24 billion surplus and $1 billion in our cash reserves. And then, they were projecting when the REC came back in December, revenue growth would be $9 billion for the year that we're in right now, and Taxpayer Trust Fund will hit $2 billion.
But they could have to tap into some of those reserves if these numbers don't work out as they forecast here. Now, as Senate President, Republican Jake Chapman of Adel, like the other leaders in both chambers, can give opening remarks when the legislative session begins. What and how he said it this year brought some criticism from Senate Minority Leader Zach Wahls. Now, I have new rules here, so our cameras couldn't be down on the floor to show you this. So you can't actually see Chapman in this clip, you can only hear him. But when you hear these comments, they reflect what Senate Minority Leader Wahls considers comments that are, quote, unhinged.
Colleagues, the time has come to take a stand. It has become increasingly evident that we live in a world in which many, including our media, wish to confuse, misguide, and deceive us, calling good evil and evil good. One doesn't have to look far to see the sinister agenda occurring right before our eyes. The attack on our children is no longer hidden. Those who wish to normalize sexually deviant behavior against our children, including pedophilia and incest, are pushing this movement more than ever before. Our children should be safe and free from this atrocious assault. Our students should be learning about science and mathematics. They should be learning about engineering and innovation. Instead, we have some teachers who are disguising sexually obscene material as desired subject matter and profess it as artistic and literary in value.
Do you approve of the way he delivered this on the floor in these opening remarks, for one? And what is this movement? And do you agree this movement is happening? Well,
I think my words and my actions speak for themselves. I spent a lot of time last night in my condition of the state thanking teachers for what they've done. It's critical. They're just, they spend as much time almost with teachers, our educators, as they do with parents. That's who our kids spend probably the second most part of their time with. And, I'm really proud of them for staying in the classroom and keeping our kids in school when so many other states didn't. And they have a really important job. And so that's one of the reasons that we're using ESSER funds to give them a $1,000 bonus. It's one of the reasons that since I've been lieutenant governor and governor, I've worked with our educators in school districts to do the teacher leadership and compensation to really drive teacher excellence in the classroom. I've been a proponent of STEM. I've been a proponent of work-based learning. We have a teacher's cabinet. I mean, so I feel like not only the actions that I've done, the programs and things that I've worked on with our educators and what we've demonstrated in the funding, they know that I know the important role that they play in educating our children.
We've heard from some teachers since your speech, obviously the $1,000 bonus, if they're coming back next year, that piqued their attention here. And the mentor, the apprenticeship program,
Yeah.
To get teachers into
Yeah.
that. It's where their hair stood up a little bit when you're talking about pushing their worldview in the classroom.
Yeah.
What is that all about? Who's doing that?
I talked about administrators and school boards is what I talked about. I didn't talk about teachers. They're the ones that are in charge of the school district. The school boards are elected, and so this is coming from parents. It isn't something that, I have had parents reach out to me. I've met with multiple parents. Legislators have had. I meant to bring it, but I certainly can get you some excerpts. But a parent read aloud what it was included in the books at a school board meeting, and one of the school districts literally took it down from their website because it was so inappropriate. But yet we have that still in some of our libraries, and parents are just frustrated. There's not a good process in place. They feel like sometimes they're being delayed, they're not getting an answer. So the first thing that we can do is just provide transparency to make sure that parents, who these are their children, these are taxpayer dollars that are funding education, we're paying for it, and just to make sure that they have access to what their children are being taught with, what books are in the library, and then they can take whatever appropriate action that they feel is necessary. In addition to that, there does need to be a process. There already is a process, Dave, that's in place that's done through the Department of Education. We just want to make sure parents know where that's at, what that is. We've streamlined it a little bit, and then we're giving the bill gives the school districts 30 days to walk through the process, and if they don't get it done in 30 days for good reason,
Put all
it
this
goes
online, right?
Yep, it goes to, and they're already doing it, so it's not an additional burden. I want to make sure that your listeners know that. They're already provide that to the Department of Education. This would just make sure that parents have access. So we're not asking them to do additional work. It's just making sure that parents have access to that. And if they can't get it done in 30 days, then it will go to the Board of Education and they'll deal with it.
Big picture here, how do the conversations about this happen in the sense that you're going to have some parents who want certain things discussed or at least available in a book, and you're going to have some that don't?
Yeah.
So who becomes the arbiter here? Who decides? Because we all raise our, we can raise our children differently, talk about stuff differently, the way we talk about. I mean, at the end of the day, how is that decided?
Have you read online, have you read to your listeners what some of the books include? Has that been included on any of the newscast?
I don't know that we've said that
Yeah.
on the air. I
Yeah.
think we've had links to it.
Right, well, yeah, it's uncomfortable. I mean, it's uncomfortable. That's why they took it down. It's horrific and vulgar. And, we should be teaching our children math and science and reading and really focused on that. And if parents want to have those kind of books accessible to their children, that's their choice. But if that should be an opportunity for parents to decide, not
Like
me.
outside
Outside of the school.
The COVID-19 pandemic was not a central theme of the governor's speech this year like it was last year. But up next, we'll ask whether she is concerned about the rise in the number of people hospitalized with the virus right now.